talk about the INFJ in the workplace. The INFJ in the MBTI community is known as the advocate or the mystic. And personally knowing INFJs myself, I would say either of those really works. They are somebody that if they believe in you, your cause as a person, they will 100% support you. I think it's most effective to compare the INFJ to the INTJ to understand how they operate in subtle differences and then how they're drastically different. The INTJ and the INFJ both have the same first function, which is introverted intuition. Now that gives both types their vision. The INTJ is focused on their vision as how it's going to be taking action in the real world, how it's actually going to implement a plan or a mission or a goal. In a similar way for the INFJ, it's focused on people. It's their vision is focused on people. So if we take the most stereotypical example of an INFJ and an INTJ and compare them, the INTJ would be represented by Elon Musk, and then INFJ would be someone like Jesus Christ. So whereas Elon Musk wants to change the world by colonizing Mars, that's his vision, and then he can take that extroverted thinking, which is his second function, and support his vision to actually figure out the way we're going to colonize Mars. In the same way, the INFJ has extroverted feeling as their second function, which supports their introvert intuition, which is looking for group harmony. So the INFJ wants to save the world. So you can look at someone like Ghandi would be an INFJ. So instead of wanting to change the world using technology or resource like finite resources, the INFJ wants to change humanity, the greater good. I really think that the INFJ is perfect in a supporting role of someone like an ENTJ or an ESTJ executive hard charging type. Because they're able to be more tactful in dealing with people, they're able to help executives with their messaging, and they're able to really help them see some of their blind spots in a clearer way with a lot of tact that is super beneficial for someone in the corporate world that needs a solid counterbalance to their way of dealing with other people and with decision making. The reason the mystic is a very good label for the INFJ is what a lot of people see is their uncanny ability to understand somebody's emotions at any given time. The better they get to know you, they can say, "You feeling okay? What's going on? Tell me what's going on." It's like, how do they even understand that? I could have sworn I bottled it all up inside and I put on a good facade today. They have what, David Kiersey has called an extrasensory perception or ESP. People are kind of caught off guard. It's the same way with the INTJ when they can almost divine the future, almost as if they're predicting it. And it's like, that's so weird. How did you come up with that? It's not easily explained, where it's like, how did you know that I was going through something today? It's just a sense. It's that introvert intuition directed towards that extroverted feeling or directed towards people that gives them that sense of, wow, I didn't know that you understood that about me. The thing that INFJ has to be careful with and self-aware about is that they're very sensitive to criticism from others. So in the scenario that I just mentioned about working with an ENTJ or an ESTJ executive, any criticism that could very likely come from an ESTJ or ENTJ type could be met with overwhelmingly harsh criticism towards the self. So an exercise would be to work on understanding that it's not personal if it is in the business setting, and most likely the ENTJ, ESTJ is just uncomfortable with you kind of breaking down some of their emotional barriers, and what they do then is they just project onto you the lowly INFJ and the emotional INFJ, and your job there is to not get so upset. It's not really a personal attack. Much like the INTJ, the INFJ does not allow a lot of people into their inner circle. So if you were to onboard a new INFJ, it would take a while for you to really crack that inner shell to get to know who they are. So what a lot of people have trouble with at first when they meet an INFJ is they seem sort of distant and more kind of like a wallflower. They're not easily understood. That's why it's kind of like the wizard mystic, where they have all these ideas. They seem like they have a quiet understanding about them, but no one's quite able to understand them until they get to know them. And then like an INTJ, they're like, wow, this person has a lot of depth, but I didn't know that when I first met them. The last thing I'll mention as it pertains to the INTJ is that because their inferior function is extroverted sensing, the INFJ can also seem a little bit aloof or head in the clouds, or constantly thinking about the future. Future pacing, as it's called in the community, is that sometimes they're always just in a state of wonder and ponderment. And it's like, why is this person so quiet? What are you thinking about? What's going on in your head? And boy, a lot is going on in their head. So that is one thing where they can be more present in the moment. Instead of always pondering the future, they can embrace the now, which will make it a lot easier for other people to embrace them and understand them. Thank you so much for watching this video on the INFJ.